Hello. So tomorrow will be day one of week 6. I'm slap bang in the middle of this placement. I'm halfway through. I had my halfway assessment last week, which was just, oh gosh, I was so chuffed. I gave myself good scores. Joe gave me even better scores, which was delightful to see, delightful to read and receive. It felt good that someone sees what I see in myself. Because the thing is, like, I know that I have a lot to give the occupational therapy profession, but because of my disability and because of also my personality, um, I feel like I need the space in which I can express what I can bring to do that. I'm not very good if I'm like honed in. I'm not very good if people want to micromanage me. I have a lot of vision and I have a lot of vision, like I just realised the pun. Obviously, not actual vision, but in terms of creative ideas and problem solving and things like that, and I've got a real creative flair that just I just need space to be able to do that, and that's what Joe gave me. Like I was thinking, I came to her like fully loaded with the idea of a podcast, for example, like even before we'd kind of started placement, and I'm grateful for her trust because I came along going, yeah, I had some radio experience like a decade ago, and I'm going to try and dust off those skills and flex them. But I mean, we didn't know how it was going to go, and especially for Joe to kind of take on a student, you don't know if the input's going to be a bit rubbish, for like want of a better, want of a better term of phrase. I knew that it wasn't going to be because there's no way. I know my personality. There was no way that I was going to produce something that was a bit rubbish. It was always going to be like good enough. Always striving for excellence. And it was great, like in terms of speaking of the podcast, using that as an example, I was able to do like the whole health promotion thing with occupational therapy, which I think is so important. And it was really thoroughly thought of and scripted and casted and all of those things. But it's via using audio as a medium, which is accessible to lots of people. And for me, it's accessible for me to be able to do that work. I was having a chat with my co-producer Rodri about kind of the editing and how I'd noticed because I'm on emails less and there's less Teams chats to keep up with. Like I have that in my ordinary job and stuff. And I was like, you know what? I'm having a lot less headaches because I'm not staring at these little like digits on a screen or just patterns on a screen, which is words and numbers, right? Which is so much of our communication. And we were talking about I use a piece of audio software called Audacity to do the editing, and the editing was so easy because I'm hearing with my ears, which is my primary sense because I have to obviously hone in on that sense more because the old eyes don't work that well. And I could also see pictorially how the Audacity works is you've got the sound waves. So you can see if there's, so I a lot is what I've noticed about me. I can see where the is, and it's a curvature and it's almost pictorial. So it's not me squinting at it and you can zoom in. So it was just really easy and seamless. So I feel like all of the things that I've created and that I've brought to this placement so far are things that I'm naturally good at or that I have a knack for or that I've already got the skill set and the base knowledge there. And it's just been a delight because it's been a breeze. I haven't, there's so much in my working life, I think, where I've tried to be like everyone else, I suppose, because that's, for example, Teams chats, emails, that's the way people communicate. When I go back to my day job, right, everyone's getting voice notes. And yes, I can, of course, interact on Teams and emails, and that's okay. It's not a no go. But if I'm doing that a lot of the time, I like my eyes ache and they get sore, and and that's just a part of being part of the working world, isn't it? Or is it? Or does it need to be? So that's what I'm taking from me to have again, like have that more empathy for myself and go, I don't need to do it like this. And most employers do have a responsibility in terms of was it the old Equality Act and stuff. If I know that myself, again, that's going to deepen my empathy for when I'm supporting or advocating clients going through similar processes. So I think that's been a fantastic learning. And what I'm trying to say is like the amount I've achieved versus the lack of stress and pain is just phenomenal. And that's something to really consider. And Joe and I were talking about, for example, HCPC. Hi, if you're watching this. Um, there isn't any, apparently, there isn't any kind of function where people can submit creative evidence. So, for example, if I wanted to upload a podcast or whatever, it's all got to be kind of, I haven't seen it, but Joe was mentioning it's all got to be kind of in written form or like some specific format, and that's not accessible. Because again, if you look at like all the work that I've done and all the things that I've achieved, if that wasn't able to fit in a CPD thing, if or when I'm qualified and I'm doing bits like this, then that doesn't serve me, and it doesn't serve the profession either. So it's kind of like we need to be much more flexible again across the board as a profession to make sure that people like me are able to be in it. That's so important. Um, yeah, inclusivity is so important across the board for all of the reasons. I'm not gonna kind of lecture anyone here. I think we know that we need to do better. Um, so that, yeah, that's a take home for me. Going forward, I've got things that I want to focus on. I'm developing like a particular interest in the condition of ADHD, because that's a comorbidity with hypermobile people sometimes. And that's something that kind of seeing as a theme, and also the condition generally interests me. And I'm kind of like, okay, how what would be useful in terms of like occupational therapy interventions for people with ADHD? I know that's a big question and it depends on the individual and what goals they want to have and stuff like that, but just a kind of me getting more education generally about like the overall condition. So I've got that conditional reasoning and scientific reasoning, and then to add with the narrative reasoning and the goal planning and stuff. Here's all the OT theory. So I'm kind of looking forward to diving in with that. A good friend of mine, Toby. Hi Toby, if you're watching this, thank you. Has agreed to, who has ADHD, is also a 6-year medic student, has agreed to do like a little kind of workshoppy thing with Joe and I to look at some of the materials that Joe already has to make them like ADHD friendly and stuff. And because I was saying, of course, I'll go and read and do some research and whatnot, but it's just so much better when you've got a representative of someone who actually lives with a condition. Again, everyone experiences things differently. Like, I'm not saying a person sat next to me with exactly the same like eye condition as I will have completely different lives because of their environment and because of our upbringing and because of this and that. But again, it's just it's great to get the the people involved from the very beginning, and to have that co-production and the co-designing. I'm a big fan of that, so that's I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, I've got some other bits and bobs to do for like the uni side, as I always say. I like doing the job, and then it's like, oh yeah, I need to evidence, and I need to do this, and I need to do that. Being a student, um, but yeah, I'm chuffed how everything has gone so far. It's been delightful from a very personal perspective, and also a professional one as well. So just sort of looking ahead, I'm wondering what this video, or what this version of this video is going to look like when I do week 10. I wonder what will have happened in between now and then, and bring it on, bring it on, and yeah, thanks for watching and listening, and share the podcast and all those cool things.